Hey everybody, you're all very welcome to the latest episode of DK Talks. We are so excited today to be joined by Kristina from Viageur. This is somebody who is really up and coming within the world of the travel and hospitality industry, but also this is a crazy world we live in because Kristina is an attorney by trade.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to have someone so insightful who understands the legal implications of these as well, being part of this crypto world and this crypto channel. So thank you so much, Kristina, for joining us today.
No, thank you for having me. I truly appreciate it.
When Darko sent me this, that you were actually going to be joining with us, I think I let out a little yay in the background. And even today, I'm still buzzing with excitement for sure. So Darko, definitely thank you for arranging this one.
Perfect. It is my pleasure, and as we really appreciate what Kristina and her company is doing for the crypto hospitality adoption, that was the very easy choice for us to invite Kristina and to hear her story and how, as well, also the whole crypto hospitality world can be used for many users in the hospitality industry.
Kristina, can you give us a bit of your background? Because not only are you an attorney, but you work with a lot of not-for-profit companies. So it'd be great to kind of just get a little bit more about you.
Yeah, so as you said, I am an attorney. I've been an intellectual property attorney for, 11 plus years now. So my background has always been focusing on creators. I think that has been just a really passion point of mine of just being able to provide assistance to creators without their business. And so what's interesting about that is that generally led me toward the travel industry. I mean, I've worked from music and arts, and then led me into travel creators, which is how I fell into the travel industry some years ago. So since then, I have joined another organization called Raise Up. I've been called the U.S. chair, the U.S. vice chair for Raise Up. And so Raise Up is an organization that really is focused on equality and ensuring that there are women and also people of color set in decision-making seats, and to ensure that there is truly a diverse melody of voices that really is impacting the travel industry, which of course D&I work is definitely a part of me that's near and dear to my heart. But overall, the company that you were initially mentioning is my company called Viageur. And so it's an interesting story, actually, how this came about. It's actually even predates me working with travel influencers. So I always call it my Batman story, because something happened to me, and then therefore it then became the genesis point for me really going into the foray. But I got robbed at gunpoint in Rio during my honeymoon in 2016. And it's one of those things where you go back and you start thinking, how could I have fixed, or how could I have anticipated something happening to me, especially because I got robbed out of an Uber. It's actually quite a wild story. We probably talked about that for a while. But either way, it came back to, what did I miss? And I'm very much of a type A personality. I like to know what I'm doing here and there, call it my, legal neurotic tendencies. Anyway, so I realized that human nature is human nature, but is there a way for us to use technology to hedge against those particular mistakes that we as humans could make? And so that brought me to this point for Viageur. So Viageur is an app that helps you plan out your trips and keeps you safe. And the things that we keep you safe from is currently COVID, and then what will be crimes against the body and racial and LGBTQ plus concerns. And so it really is geared toward women who might be traveling solo or with others, who want to ensure that they have all the information that they need to ensure that they have the best trip possible. And the way that we do that from a technology standpoint is using ML, and then we're also moving into the blockchain for means of enhanced personalization and security. So it's a really exciting time. There is so much that we have planned for this project. There are a number of things that have already have started in motion for it. And there's a lot of excitement because As I think many of your listeners will know, Web3 technology, and I think also the ecosystem, is very much one of optimism. And it's a lot of interest because of the capabilities of bringing in new people into a place that we hadn't really seen before. And so that's really the aim, right? To bring people into a place that encourages them, particularly after the pandemic, to go out and to take that revenge travel to the next level. And so we definitely want to be part of that. I believe a meteoric rise of these new technology solutions that will be coming in the future.
I think it's really interesting for sure what you're talking about, because you're not just talking about this being catered to people being able to explore a new region, but also the safety element is so important, especially when you're going to some place that's very far flung. We've seen a huge rise in violence in different parts of the world that we normally would have traveled or felt safe to now because of the pandemic. It's been 2 years. Lots of different people have had chances to roam free around places and cause all this havoc. So it's really cool to see that you've got something that will keep people safe. And I know you mentioned women, but it's also geared for every person because it's so important
Absolutely.
to feel safe, to enjoy your vacation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, what's great about any kind of application, even though it might be said it's geared toward a certain demographic, it can be really generally used for anyone. If the main questions you're asking yourself for any trip is, where can I go and is it safe? And so those are the two main questions that we aim to answer.
I love that. Absolutely love that. Kristina, you touched on bringing blockchain into power your application in your ecosystem. Can you explain to future entrepreneurs who really want to kind of get involved with blockchain, but don't really know how to do it, what steps you need to take, and also what are the benefits of actually bringing in blockchain into your ecosystem?
Yeah, so one thing that we had discussed internally was that we wanted to ensure that we future-proofed our business. And we wanted to make sure that regardless of what happens from a security standpoint, in terms of our information, we wanted to make sure that we encrypted it into a way that no one could possibly say we fall around the lines of a Facebook or an Instagram who is consistently, continuously selling information of our users. That was one thing that we had said from the very beginning, is that we have no intention of selling our users' information. That's not part of our business revenue. It never will be, and you can quote me on that from years to come. So one thing that we realized, one of the powers of blockchain or moving the application to blockchain would be to ensure that that promise to not sell customer information could be absolutely embedded within the blockchain system. So as we move the application in there, and I mean, this is of course much further down the road after we finish our initial stages for the app, but to move information that users are inputting into our application, because a lot of it needs to be, in the way that we power it is through user interaction. So moving our maps, moving our AI models into an encrypted manner through a blockchain, and ensuring that also too we open up the possibilities of different payment systems as well on the application, allows for a much further adoption from others who may not have been able to use, let's say, fiat to a certain amount, but they have a number of crypto tokens available to them. So in the future, we're looking at a multi-chain application that allows for users from whatever chain that they're choosing from to then use the application and use particularly our native token and then also other tokens as a means of payment. So so we're looking at it from twofold, right? Not only from a payment perspective, but also the encryption of information. Now that's very big picture, right? That we're some miles away from there. But what we started with was launching our own token. And we launched in February of this year of 2020, and to let others know, to be a signal that we are moving into this space. And so It went viral. It went really fast. We had an airdrop of, we had about 6,000 spots altogether, because we generated 1 billion tokens, and we made about 5% available of that for our airdrop. Those 6,000 spots were claimed by over 40,000 people. And so
Great.
the competition was fierce for those tokens. But it was great because we then knew that we were going down the right path, particularly because there have been others who have already started going down this path within the travel industry to go into Web3, and they have seen a number of successes. And so with us, we're even a little bit different from others because we're not a run-of-the-mill travel planning engine. We're actually doing a lot more than that. We're taking your hand and doing a bit more in terms of going about and being part of your day. So it's been great. We have a number of different things planned down the road. We have NFTs coming down. That's part of our ecosystem. That's going to be a very strong hallmark of that. We have different programs that we're doing to add further utility to our token, so that way our token holders can understand and know that holding it on for the long haul is the best decision, and a number of things. And so we're just really excited. It's been a very whirlwind couple of months. We also have been going into this mode of teaching as well too, as we are building out, which is of course I think very important. Particularly what we're doing right now is we're actually focusing on travel influencers, because I think a great pillar for us to have definitely in the future is to move travel influencers into the space to understand that, one, how to protect their content, and two, kind of pushing also industry leaders to understand that if more travel influencers are also being brought into this space and teaching their communities over and over again about how they've moved into this space, then it makes it a lot easier for adoption for much larger scale companies moving in the future. So we've done a number of work with some travel influencers. We actually are launching a free course over the next couple of months to make sure they understand even the ABCs of Web3. And so we're doing a multi-tiered method now, not only for our product, but also just the ecosystem overall.
That is so cool. I love hearing about using the likes of influencers to really get them on board with this in particular, because it's so important. These guys have a huge, huge footprint across the industry.
They do.
That people don't even realize. You know, as an ex-hotelier, when you used to see getting an influencer as an email looking for something for free, you were always like, oh my God. But it's much more than that. The wealth of information that they can share is much more. I have a question, because obviously you focused on you went down the line of the Polygon chain.
Yes.
Are you going to tie other chains into your ecosystem in the future? And also, why didn't you go with the likes of ETH or Cardano or all the other different ones? I'm just very interested to hear what your thoughts were with going with Polygon.
Yeah, there's we had a number of considerations. For one, at the time when we were first planning out what would be best for users, is that we didn't want any adoption hurdles. And at the time, ETH was very high. I think at the time it was definitely over 4K. And so we wanted to make sure that we chose something that, one, it allowed us to move quickly, that gas fees were not going to be of a major issue, particularly when we start moving into additional transactions. And as the transactions increase, we didn't want that to be prohibitive for people who were just coming on. So we thought that Polygon, as being an L2, and would definitely take advantage of any future modifications that Ethereum would have in the future once they actually do their updates, and then also being able to move it if we wanted to into Ethereum, because we're still run off of the ERC20 token. So we thought that initially starting off here would be fun, and we absolutely want to be able to do a multi-chain solution. Actually, I was just talking about that with my husband this morning about how the need to bridge these gaps from those who are very we call them our super fans for particular chains who have no
Yes.
interest in moving from their
Mhm.
chain whatsoever. We don't want them to look at us and say, oh, they're Polygon, you know, we're never really going to use them. So we're definitely going to be looking at different protocols in the future that will definitely bring all of these chains together to ensure that that's not going to be an issue in the future.
Okay. I have one question. How was challenging for you as a person who built up an app which will serve the travel industry? How was challenging to understand different protocols? Like, now we have a Polygon. Then, okay, did you push yourself through different rabbit holes to understand? Okay, what Cardano offers, what Phantom offers, what as well also what you mentioned right now. This is what I like the most, because what we see recently in the crypto and in general, many people would like to cannibalize themselves, because of the different chain, etc., etc. And it's very social media centric. And if you are a pro Polygon, then you are against Phantom. If you are against Phantom, then you are for Cardano. How was challenging for you to go from travel to understand these things? And as well also, do you see that it will be maybe a challenge for you as well in the future to pick the right thing?
That's a good question. For me, my journey generally started just from curiosity, because I think I just started going into I think I started really on Twitter, and I started seeing some of my friends who were just tweeting about certain things, and it and I mean, I have to kind of also attribute it to my past as an IP attorney, because that's where majority of my intellectual curiosity came from. I said, okay, well, how would this work from a legal standpoint? And then I started thinking that would be a really interesting use case, seeing an NFT used for this. But then, of course, it became like almost an obsession at that point. It became an obsession. I went through, I went down the rabbit hole, as they say, of just listening in, listening as much as possible. I think particularly my husband was getting sick of me just playing Twitter Spaces like all day long, because that's all I would do. Would just listen to people, listen to what they were saying, reading up on certain things. But I think what really solidified it for me was just actually trying it, and just actually using something for myself from a personal standpoint. I remember the first time I bought my first NFT, and at that point, I could see the value in it. I could see even remotely. I mean, I think beyond just what people were doing initially, it was actually, for the art, but like beyond simply what this could mean for our company, for the travel industry. And once we begin to really do a deep dive into the technology, and I think moving beyond simply the art, or thinking about the art and thinking about what it means from a technology standpoint, allows it to solidify in your mind about the use cases that can be adopted for the travel industry. So I think that's one thing that needs to be adjusted for those within the travel industry, is moving beyond the artistic value that I think many people have attributed to Web3, and looking at the technology in and of itself. What exactly is blockchain? What the uses for blockchain from both a public and private standpoint? If you were to create your own private blockchain, what could that mean for for adoption, to allowing your users or your customers to be able to pay in any adopt beyond just simply fiat. I mean, there are those, particularly from the Far East, who have really been very much a I don't want to call them farms, but like they are really, really adopting cryptocurrency to a point where they're understanding where the trends are, they're coming in and they are amassing different tokens to ensure that, you know, there's value in there. Imagine being able to go to them and say, these bits of token and value that you've amassed, come to our platform and spend it there, you know? So I think that there needs to be talks like what we're doing now to show them that it's not a JPEG that we're looking at here. We're really looking at something beyond an ape. We're looking beyond something than a CryptoPunk. It is so much more than that. So open your eyes, remove the skepticism that I think any new technology tends to impart in us, and just listen.
I think you've touched on a lot of things there, and I want to hit you up on one serious point because you've just mentioned it there: skepticism, taboo. Do you find that when you've gone to investors and when you started creating this and you were speaking with your family and your friends, and I know your husband is really supportive of this, do you find that people look at you going, what? You know, because in this world, cryptocurrency is still a sign of sorcery. And it's where people who are dodgy, and that's the term here in Ireland, is the, you know, people who are trying to hide finance. Now, I'm sorry, there's no way we can hide our finances because we all took a huge dip. And it's been a really rocky road. But you know what? How have you overcome that? Because that is something that's very difficult for people to overcome, but also from a, and sorry, Darko, from a female point of view, because it's quite difficult for us in the industry, and you know this very well, to actually be accepted, to be part of the travel world, and to be taken seriously. So tell us your secret sauce, please.
Girl, I don't know if I have a secret sauce. That's the thing. Like, to be very frank, you know, the skepticism is real. Like, my father is an accountant. I should have known better.
So your dad's been hiding your money for years.
Oh yeah. So when I brought it up at Christmas dinner descended into just chaos because he is very much of the mind that everything is a scam, and it's all just, you know, a pyramid scheme, whatever. And I have family members who just be like, I don't know what this is. Like, I heard about it, but I really don't know what this is. And so I get honestly like both sides of the spectrum, because I have those who have said, I absolutely will never use it and I hate it, though they can't really articulate as to why they hate it. They just hate it. And then those who are semi-curious, but not enough that they would do a deep dive or they would go down the rabbit hole. So I think that's why it's so important for, you know, startups like myself to begin to open it up to a whole new way for them, beyond just simply just crypto, beyond just simply just from an you know, artistic NFT, but actually into a real life application in terms of what does that look like. And so I want it to become that they don't even think about whether it's on the blockchain or not. It just becomes what it is. That is just that's just our system. And so I have had investors like, why did you move it to the blockchain? And I'm like, well, why wouldn't I move it to the blockchain? Why wouldn't I begin to go down this path that has shown so much promise? Like, why wouldn't I do this? And even when I'm talking to those within Web3, because they've only seen it in a particular light before, they have a hard time grasping that a travel app would want to move into the blockchain in of itself, or use blockchain systems in terms of, you know, for security and protecting information. And so it's I don't know whether it's because I'm a woman, I'm a Black woman on top of that, so that adds in a whole different area of navigation that I have to go into. And you know, I do find that the skepticism the questioning is on, I think, maybe a different level than I would if I was a cisgendered white male. So it's interesting. It's very interesting.
You keep name dropping Web3. And I know one of our questions for you is Web3 for travel and hospitality. What is your opinion and the benefits? What can it do for hospitality? Because we've spoken about this, digital ID wallets in the past here on DK Talk. I'm a huge fan. I've never had cash. I've always been one of these cashless people. So this suits me. This is like the pandemic was the best thing ever. Sorry to everybody. I know we all lost 2 years of our lives. I'm still technically 33, so it's great. We're all back a few years.
Exactly.
But it just really introduced this whole cashless environment. Do you think Web3 is going to bring this further for the hospitality? And how can we get more hotels and people in our industry talking about it and actually seeing the benefits of it?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think one thing, if you hear my daughter screaming, I totally apologize because she's having a birth in the other room. So one thing I think we have to emphasize is that Web3 is coming. It's already here. Like, instead of just saying, oh, this is it already is the next iteration of the internet. It's already being used. There is already a number of test cases that are already being used and are live every single day, and that new solutions are coming up every single day. So to assume that this is a fad is foolish, and it's not forward thinking. And if any brand who wants to ensure the longevity of their brand, or any brand manager who wants to ensure the longevity of their brand, really needs to consider always implementing new technology into their systems, because Gen Z is already behind this. Gen Z is the next incoming consumer class coming in. So if you're not using the language and technology that they are already becoming accustomed to, then it's not looking good. It's not looking good for you. So for hospitality brands and managers and for those who are within the revenue systems, you really need to think about, I understand you have you have set ways, and it's really hard to begin to think about something that already works for you. So why break it? If it's not broke, don't fix it. However, you also have to think about, instead of thinking of as breaking it, think of how do you augment it? How do you add additional revenue streams for yourself to ensure that even if there is a let's say even like a change in the system of how people begin to payment, you've already set yourself up for success by allowing different methods or different ways to pay for your particular hotel. I know for a fact that it's like, because I remember, in the very beginning, I remember I had friends who just said that they have like, a bunch of different tokens here and there. And, they were unsure on actual cash, on actual fiat. So if they had the means to pay the tokens, they would absolutely do it. Imagine being that person that could facilitate, oh yeah, sure, just come. And you already know there's value in it because it's a very clear delineation of what that value is for those tokens. So it's not a question of, I'm getting something that is not valuable because the value is already inherent in it. And so I think that for the most part, everyone, not only those within the hospitality space, but everyone within the travel industry needs to understand that Web3 is not going anywhere. It's not going to disappear off the face of the planet. If anything, they're already talking about Web4. Already talking about Web4, and the pace of adoption for these new solutions are just increasing every single day. And I think it'd be better for you to be at the forefront, than for you to be behind. Because as my younger cousins have said, don't be a clout chaser, be a leader. So
I really love that. That's now going to be the slogan for sure. And I definitely think that, it's something that hospitality in general, I think the industry, it took a pandemic for people to realize the importance of having integrated solutions.
yeah,
It took the pandemic for people to actually start using QR codes again. Remember them square things that
right.
came in the early 2000s? No one really understood them. I definitely think it's the smart hospitality professionals and the innovators who are going to get on board with this. The Jurassic hoteliers, which I call them, they're the people who only like to deal with cash, really, credit cards, because they can see it. It's kind of tangible, going straight into their account. Doesn't need a lot of work. And I think these are the people that will hold us back when it comes to it. The hospitality industry itself is on its knees already. So if we're waiting for Gen Z to come into this, to actually take this on board and adopt it, we're going to be waiting a long time, because these guys are not going to go into our industry. So we need smart commercial people who are like all of us that's on this call, and many more out there in the industry, to really see this and get behind it and understand it, to champion it. It's a whole wave of different customers that come to you.
That's what we had. That's what we had as well also, and that's the purpose of DK Talks, is to be a little bit louder when it comes to hospitality people, to understand that building up a bridges between Gen Z people who are right now in the metaverse, and that those guys are actually a potential buyers in the real world. But if we do not have Web3 projects, or if we do not have a blockchain protocols who will interconnect the virtual world where they are with the real world, then of course that would be a big miss for them to hit the additional revenue stream. And that's the biggest factor right now, which we are preaching here, because we also had discussed in the past about marketing, and as well also how unbelievably marketing is tough in the crypto world, and what this means for people to understand if they want to approach to these people and bring them in the hotels, bring them in the restaurants. So these are all of the potential avenues which you need to understand if you would like to combine two worlds, and as well also to bring additional revenue streams for your organizations.
I mean, as you were speaking, to my daughter in the background, she is Alpha, which is crazy, but to that point now. We're at Gen Alpha. Gen Alpha will be the first generation who has no code, no refunds, or even that fiat was the only way to pay. Will be the first generation who, even from a very young age, was already using some iPhones and other smart technology. So think about in the next 10 years or so, when they become the next class of consumers, will your business have already have the systems in place that they are using, are you seeing the course of their lives? Are you thinking about what your business is going to look like? Are you thinking about the longevity aspect of your business? If you're not thinking about the next class, and if you think about it, same point, well, of course I want to have that last for a very long time. Even when we're looking at the current consumers, parting on to them, what brand should children also be adopting in the future, because that's the brand loyalty is. So I think if you think about it, that maybe it becomes a little bit easier for branders and those.
I think loyalty is huge, and this is where we're going to track back to Voyager, because I'm really interested about your VVIP program. So can you explain what your VVIP program is? And also, I want to know all about your premium NFTs that you're kind of doing, how people can buy into this, and what is the future of the loyalty scheme that you are offering within Voyager, because it's really cool.
Yeah, so, as I said, this is our first stop that we're doing, first signal. And so what we have done is created this loyalty program where it's actually those highly moved into where we want to begin to have a presence with other web companies. So it is your membership card with Viageur and also with our partners that allows you to gain access to discounts and perks throughout the ecosystem will begin to expand. Currently, we actually just signed 2 new partners. So we have in total 11 partners together, ranging from your finances, to your trip finances, to activities not fed, to and also travel. And so the aim is to provide you with these discounts and perks along with our VVIP app, which you'll have a lifetime discount of being a VVIP holder. Within this, so what the NFT does actually, it actually provides you with additional perks along with governance as well too. So part of what we do is kind of also our giving back, is to ensure that whatever that we build goes back to the community in shape or form. We've created a community fund that our token holders, or NFT holders, will be able to vote on an initiative member of the campaign. And so the NFT holders will actually have a greater number of votes along with access for a high rate along any special apps that we'll have from our partners who also want to get access to this ecosystem. Really great about NFTs, which I'm really proud of, is that for those who are about the art, we do have the art aspect of it too. We have essentially created a NFT of 5,000 that depicts our mascot, which is Tiffany V. Tiffany V is our international spy who is coming to bring you back to destinations every day at a time. And so it's going to be a different theme of 18 months done by artists from the African diaspora. So it's really going to be highlighting particular artists who have different styles. So every Tiffany generally will be different. We not one Tiffany with every new cycle that we do, and that's to ensure that we begin to just build up this brand loyalty. And so the aim would be to have as many different companies, whether they already have Web3 systems in place or not, to foster with our community a relationship that no matter what I see you enjoy and put in systems in place that you can begin to enjoy. So a big part of that is also ensuring that brands who are interested in participating in access to the influencers that we are onboarding who will part a strong part of our community. So if you're looking for additional brand recognition, brand awareness, we're amassing a team of influence to be part of our ecosystem to again build up to. So it really is very much an ecosystem of business, the community, travel, community, and all the influencers together. It's a great program.
Who are your partners that you're working with right now? Do you want to name drop any people within the industry, travel industry, you know, hoteliers, tech providers, travel agencies, DMCs? Oh my God, there's too many acronyms out there from our side.
So we do have a few partners. So our main partner right now is actually Amusement for our activities. That's our mainstay for the application. And so for VVIP, we do have Fly Wallet, Afric Trip, Battle Face, Flex and Fly. Of course, I'm forgetting somebody. I'm totally blanking out right now. It will come to me later after this call. Mm-hmm. But there are generally, like, across the board of different walks, and so we want to make sure that, one, what we are hallmark partners are definitely those who are just doing different things within the travel industry, which is great. And so if there's anyone else who's interested in becoming one of our partners, definitely feel free to reach out. The doors are open.
We've popped your website there. Get in contact with Kristina for partnerships, 100%. And then are you guys going to expand into kind of like the IT ecosystem for quicker adoption kind of into that space? So are you going to start kind of tapping into the power and the information that the likes of CRMs can bring that can help you ultimately, and even like the likes of reviews or, you know, a PMS? Is there something that you guys are looking at in the future to kind of partner even with hotel brands that when they have a guest come and stay with them, that pre-stay email goes out saying, hey, download this app, see what's happening in the area, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one big thing that we've already started conversations with, particularly with smaller chains, is that we want to be that face of begin to introduce people into this program. And again, we know that for some, they do not want to see anything about that. So we are already again, sometimes having conversations with hoteliers and also with different programs where you begin to discuss about how can we do this. You know, the initial claim is, I don't want to be part of a scam. No, sir, I'm a fully doxed person. I have no tendency to do scams. Matter of fact, I am an attorney. I have a number of ethics that a number of people would not actually subscribe to. So yeah, but again, if they are anyone who's particularly interested in providing that, we're absolutely open to that, and we would love for that to happen.
I really like that idea, and I like the way you're talking to like smaller chains and individuals, because they're the people who adopt this technology a lot quicker than the bigger brands. They can see the vision. The visionaries are there within that space. And I think these guys are more open to exploring the new avenues, testing them out and finding what works for them and what doesn't. And it's one of those things I've always loved about the independent hoteliers, the innovators within the industry. That's what I call them, the independent innovators, because that's what they are.
Yeah. They really are. And I mean, the conversations I've had with them are a lot easier because they actually want to listen, versus others who might have been more established, who have teams and they have to run it back to the teams and then talk about it more. And before you know it, it's been weeks on end, and you're not even sure where you are at this point. But I love that, you know, again, a lot of the independent hotels are a lot more closer to a startup because you're able to have a conversation immediately. You're able to get to a decision maker quite fast, and you're able to move in a good direction.
Definitely. And big up to the independent hoteliers out there who are really doing it by themselves. We understand you guys are going through a lot of operational changes right now. You may be a GM who is a housekeeper, a receptionist, a food and beverage porter. Hey! You know, it's important that we recognize these guys.
So she wanted to come and see who I was speaking to, because obviously I couldn't have any other conversations right now. Yeah. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
All right, go on, honey. Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Absolutely love it. Well, Kristina, we've taken up so much of your time already, so we really appreciate it, and that your little girl is telling you need to get back to her. But before you go, can you please tell our audience how they can invest and start getting in contact with you about a partnership, investing into purchasing a VVIP coin, or even kind of to work with you a lot more in regards to, you know, kind of finding some sort of way to get involved in regards to investing?
Yes. So first and foremost, that is the website for the Viageur app. The links are all there on the website for you to get in contact to find information about the application and also the VVIP token. For the premium NFTs will go on sale this fall, so definitely just stay tuned for that. More information definitely comes from our Twitter feed. So following at Viageur or at VVIP Token will give you enough information about what's going on from there. For any investors who are interested in obtaining tokens around the same time, you will be able to purchase tokens as well too. So we will be doing another token sale sometime later on this year, but the NFT will be first because we are using that as a means if you want to get first access to the token sale. Being a premium NFT holder will actually give you access to get token sales. So that's how you get first dibs on that. And yeah, so if there's anyone who's interested in any partnerships, feel free to actually email me directly. So that's KTLIBURD@Viageur.io. My emails are open for any kind of questions as well too. I'm very open to discussing anything with anyone. If you have any thoughts or ideas about what you can do to future-proof your business, the legal implications of going into Web3, I'm totally happy to go into conversations about that. Or if you just want to just say hi, I'm totally okay with that too.
Oh, don't worry. We're probably going to bring you back for a whole legal implication conversation because there is so much happening in this world. Cryptocurrency compliance, the IRS getting involved now, financial institutions across the world. It's definitely a conversation for the future. Kristina, thank you so much for giving up your time today. We really, really appreciate it. We can't wait to talk to you soon.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate the call.
Thank you.
Bye.